I have Texas Tech as my runner-up.
I love it.
Look,
I love it. I wanted to so bad.
I'm usually not one that goes in and I'm like, I gotta believe everything that's in the portal right now. Can these guys be as good as what's on paper, right? And can these guys step up to the plate? Man, you got to understand exactly what these guys went and did. First of all, let me start out with Reggie Virgil from Miami of Ohio. 816 yards, 19 yards per carry, and 19 yards per catch and 9 touchdowns. They grab him in the portal. Then let's just go to the 2 guys that they already had there, and Caleb Douglas, who came over from Florida the previous year, 60 catches, 877 yards and 6 touchdowns. So I was like, holy crap. Okay. So, and then they got a homegrown guy that came in, was an original recruit for them, and 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝗀𝘀𝗀, 652 yards and 7 touchdowns last year.
Yeah.
That is solid. I don't care what anybody says. If you look up and down, just that. I think that you understand the type of talent that they have on that team.
Yeah.
Then they go into transport and they go and grab another receiving tight end, brother. 48 receptions, 689 yards, 14 yards a catch, and 4 touchdowns. Terrence Carter Jr. from the Louisiana Raging Cajuns, another homegrown Texas guy. Quentin Joyner then comes over from USC just to be the icing on the cake for this offense. 7.6 yards a carry, brother. It's absolutely disgusting. He had 480 something yards. Jacoby Williams is going to be able to step up for them this year as well and kind of be a 2-headed monster from there. And then Cameron Dickey, who had 225 yards and a touchdown, 5.5 yards a carry. Yeah, man, they have not only a trio at running back, but then they bring back Baron Morton, 27 touchdowns, 8 interceptions on the year, 3,335 yards. He kind of had a breakout season in the games that, he was fully healthy to play. Again, we look at this whole situation and say, damn, Taj Brooks was there, had over 100 yards in every single game in his last year. He's going to be an absolute, you're going to feel the pressure. But then you start looking at their schedule, and they just play such a favorable schedule too. And then, they go into transfer portal and get great defensive players. David Bailey's coming over from Stanford, who has 7 sacks and 5 forced fumbles. Lee Hunter's coming over, a guy that was at Central Florida last year and Auburn before that at the the nose tackle position. Skylar Gale Howard had 5 sacks last year from Northern Illinois. He comes over. Romello Height has been to Auburn, USC, and Georgia Tech, and now this is his 4th school where he's going to get his first official start. Dude, everything's lining up for them just to be so good, not only defensively, and of course, to pick up a corner, and a safety from North Dakota State. As much people want to say that they put a lot of money into this, they didn't go out there and get 40 transfers. They went out and got guys that are going to be immediate impacts and immediate guys that are going to be impactful for their team right now. And that's the one thing that everybody keeps bringing up, and it's absolutely true. Their defensive unit was obviously the worst part of their team last year, right? And so you bolster that, especially up front, because you got guys every single week that are running against you, and it's not going to get any better. Have the expectations increased? Yeah, but I do see them being a runner-up in this division because I just think that they're the Big 12 is going to be fun to watch, man. I'm telling y'all right now, book it all year long. Even our friends over at CFB Nation and the governor of college football, he's come out and said that too. Shout out to the Big 12 Media Days. I didn't plan this to be on Media Day week, but it just so happened to line up like that. A lot of people are talking Texas Tech, man, and for good reason. And I'm drinking a little bit of the Kool-Aid right now, and I like the moves that they've made. So,
yeah, the David Bailey pickup was really big, but one that you kind of hinted at the end that I think could be the biggest move was adding Cole Wisniewski from North Dakota State. I mean, he and Cam Miller were the two guys who we talked about before they played Colorado this past season and lost in a close game in Boulder. Wisniewski was incredible for North Dakota State when he was healthy. And so for him to come in here to a defense that desperately needed help, along with all of those other guys you talked about, especially on the defensive line, for me, Wisniewski can be a game changer in a league where if you have a solid defense, sometimes that's all you need, right?
Yeah.
The Big 12, I think, is stepping up its game, right? You look at it, and the Big 12 for years has kind of been just kind of brushed aside for being a conference that is lesser than its other power conference counterparts.
Yep.
I think that Arizona State made a statement with the way they played Texas this past season, a very good team. Arizona State showed that the Big 12 is not to be trifled with. They're not a pushover. And the fact that Arizona State isn't a consensus lock to even make the title game says a lot about the depth of this conference. I've been saying it for a while. This conference not only could have multiple teams in the playoffs, but this might be the most unpredictable conference title race of any conference this season. There are just so many teams who are in it to win it. And the crazy thing is, we even saw that this past year when there were still 8 teams in the final week of the season who mathematically still had a shot at making the title game. So the Big 12 is up for grabs, and Tech is certainly in the hunt.
Yep. All right. Your team was?
My team was Arizona State, who I was just talking about. I think that a lot of people forget, and not you, Dante, don't worry. You do a great job of reminding everyone. And we're on a mission, right? We got to spread the word. Jordan Tyson was not available in
and
Arizona
even EA
State's
Sports
season
knew,
run.
And even EA Sports knew that he was a top 5 wide receiver. And Elijah Surratt. Shout out to our boy Elijah Surratt too.
Like,
oh my God, we've been talking about these guys forever.
Arizona State is losing Cam 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝗶𝗶𝗀, and I think that's what everyone gets caught up on. Oh, you lost the heart and soul of your offense. Yes, they lost a big part of their offense. Oh, they're not going to be able to recreate what they did last year. Maybe, but you still have Sam Leavitt, who is now a redshirt sophomore, right? He was a redshirt freshman with a 24-6 touchdown to interception ratio. First year as a starter, first year at Arizona State. Jordan Tyson, one of the best receivers in the country, again, was not playing against Texas or Iowa State.
Yeah.
Was not. If he played against Texas, who knows how that game would have gone, right? We just don't know. And at running back, yeah, you lose 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝗀𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧 checks my notes. Army from a service academy.
Kanye
What?
Udo.
They can transfer, and yes, it's Kanye Udo, who is a phenomenal running back. And look, triple option running back. He's used to toting the rock. He's able to catch. He's a great pure runner. To me, that sounds like they're ready. They're just reloading. They're ready to make another run at the playoffs. And it may be hard to kind of recapture the magic from the previous season where 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝗶𝗲𝘀 was the clear-cut, second best running back in the country. Well, they got another guy who's very talented as well. I think that Arizona State is not going to take that step back. You also have to look at the numbers. They have returned 8 starters on offense and 9 on defense. It's not like they were decimated by the draft and the portal. This is a team who, for the most part, said, let's run it back. And then you look at some of the guys they added. Jalen Moss out of the portal, I believe from Fresno State.
Yep.
Let me double check. Yep. Fresno State. I was right. How did I know that? He transferred to me in a dynasty last year. But look, my point being, really, you look at this defense that has been building up over the last few years with incoming transfers. That two of their starters on the defensive line used to play at Texas, Zach Swanson and Prince Dorba, right? Then you look at their offense and returning most of that offensive line, right? You bring back Jordan Tyson and Sam Levitt. To me, this is not a team that's going anywhere. Kenny Dillingham and Sam Levitt were not, they weren't on a high from last season. They were right. They are here to stay for 2025. Then you may ask, well, why do you not have them as your winner? Well, I'll get there. But to me, Arizona State, they're going to be a phenomenal team once again. Even if it's not 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗀 getting it done, they have other guys who will step up to the plate.
Yeah. And Ardell, I disagree with you. Over the last 4 seasons, they haven't lost them, or they've won 7 or more games, and I think they're like 3-4 in bowl games. The Texas Tech. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they've been like
they were 7-6 in 2021, then 8-5, then 7-6, then 8-5,
and they're 3-4 in bowl games, right? Because they lost the Liberty Bowl last year.
They're 3-2 in their last 5 bowl games.
If you look at anything before that, they sucked. They were barely a 500 team for years, and that's even with Cliff Kingsbury. So I would disagree with you there. I wouldn't say that they've sucked since the air raid days. I mean, yeah, Mike Leach had them as a 9-11 win team, but like they're under Joey McGuire, man, they've been exceeding expectations.
They've been pretty solid. They were not great under Cliff. That's factual, but no, they have been putting together some solid seasons. Again, not great by any means, but solid seasons. And now the NIL is legal, their billionaire boosters are dropping the big bucks. If you didn't know, Texas Tech is paying their softball pitcher $1 million a year. They just dropped $5.1 guaranteed $1 million over 3 years to secure a 5-star offensive tackle, Felix Ojo, who I talked to at the All-American Bowl. Yeah. $5.1 million guaranteed to a kid who hasn't played a single down in college. And not to mention, Ojo is going to be their highest rated signee in program history. Who is the second? Well, Micah Hudson, a former 5-star wide receiver who was back for a second year with the Red Raiders. So will it pay off? Quite literally, we'll see. But Texas Tech, in a lot of ways, seems to be on the rise. Will they actually match all of these big money moves to on-field results? We'll see. Dante seems to think so. I also agree. I think that Texas Tech is going to be one of the best teams in the Big 12 this year.
When everybody was saying the last 2 years that they should have been good, me and Kalia have been like, hold your horses. I think this year, and this is when they had Taj Brooks, but I think this year is the year that they take a step up. I don't know if I agree with your comment about they're in a more difficult conference. I mean, were they playing against Nebraska, Missouri, Texas A&M, Texas, and Oklahoma? Not every single year, but those guys were in their conference. But Texas has not been good since the early 2000s. Nebraska hasn't been good since the early 2000s and 90s. Missouri was okay. They had those 2 years that they were good in the SEC, and they've been trying to catch back up. Texas A&M has been up and down since I've been alive, and just recently started to catch the bull by the horns now. So, I mean, I would kind of disagree with you there too. I think to be honest, this is the most stacked year that the Big 12 has been as far as parity. I'm telling you, this one was hard to do because there's so many good teams. I mean, a lot of people were circling Baylor, and they were I was on the brink of putting them at some points too. Yeah, but you were talking about during the air raid days, and that's when Nebraska was there. So, when Mike Leach was there, that's the only reason I brought Nebraska up. But just telling you teams that were back then. But let's move on. Jason and Don have ASU as well, and then Sora has Kansas State, which this looks weird, but it'll make more sense of who the winner of the ECG. But Kansas State will be our runner-up.